It's been said that hope is not a strategy, and that may be true. However, it's one of the most powerful motivators in the world. On Unyielding Hope, we're going to take life head on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We talk about and share stories and experiences of the challenges we face and how you can find hope in the midst of some of your most challenging times and circumstances. So sit back, relax, and get ready for your weekly dose of hope. All right, before we get started, a quick word from our sponsors who make Unyielding Hope possible. Hey, are you a learning-based business owner or a real estate professional? Are you ready to exceed your goals? Well, Cornerstone Coaching is here to help. In the ever-changing real estate market, challenges can often leave you feeling stuck. Cornerstone Coaching simplifies real estate, even in the face of difficulties, to get you unstuck and back on the road to your dreams and goals. Are you struggling with market conditions? They provide coaching that empowers you to lead confidently through their proven process. They help you navigate your clients through fears and objections that they might be feeling. The Cornerstone Coaching approach starts with an in-depth analysis of your business gaps, and from there, they craft a step-by-step plan using their time-tested models, systems, and tools. So if you're ready to embark on your journey to success, Cornerstone Coaching is offering a complimentary 1-hour coaching session for the listeners of this broadcast, Unyielding Hope, to uncover the missing pieces in your business and chart a clear path. Contact them today for your complimentary coaching session and let them know that you heard about it here on Unyielding Hope. Take that crucial step towards your brighter future. Hey, and I'd like to thank another one of our sponsors, Ladder Real Estate of Keller Williams Realty in Coeur d'Alene. The mission at Ladder is helping you turn someday into today, and their vision is that their agents, clients, and communities are empowered to dream big, take action, and live a life filled with purpose, passion, and intention. They accomplish this through their core values of responsibility over excuses, putting the right people in the right roles, and giving back generously to their team, their partners, and their community. It's their commitment to continuous growth and innovation in the inland Northwest. So if you're an agent looking to break past your current ceiling or realize that you're looking for leadership, leverage, leads, and culture, reach out to Ladder today. If you're a buyer, seller, or investor in this market and you're looking for a realtor that'll lead you through the process and help you win in this market, reach out to Ladder Real Estate today and they'll connect you with an agent that's a perfect fit for you. You can contact Ladder at www.ladderrealestate.com or you can call them at 208-667-2399. That's 208-667-2399. Ladder Real Estate of Keller Williams, Coeur d'Alene. Give them a call. Hey everybody, this is Terry Gurno here with Unyielding Hope. We got another episode, and I'm really excited today because I've got my best friend for years and years.
Well, Nancy's your best friend.
Well, Nancy is my best friend.
Yes, Nancy is your best friend.
My second best friend right here, Mike Rima. You know, really, we've been through. We've known each other for a long time. We have been through a lot of great stuff, a lot of hard stuff.
In fact, the Rimas would not even be in North Idaho had it not been for the Gurnos. So we owe you that.
Thank you, Mike. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're here, and that's going to be another story. And so, but there's a lot of truth. There's something behind that. But it just goes to show you again that our relationship goes back, a long time. Best friends. We've been through a lot together in life, and I'm really glad that you get to meet him because I'd like everybody that I know to meet Mike, and even the people that I don't know. I want them to meet Mike because you need to meet him, and I've asked him to come in and be a guest host today. So he's going to be hosting the show as we go through it, and we're going to be talking about some things and. Mike, tell me a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, Terry, thank you so much for having me join you in this setting. And this is really an honor for me to be able to be here sitting next to you. And I know how much this podcast, Unyielding Hope, I know what it was born out of. I know some of the backstory, and to be able to be here and experience this as a reality is really, really cool for me. And so I'm so proud of you. And so thanks a lot for inviting me. Yeah, I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor for a lot of years, and was given the opportunity to come to North Idaho to be able to help plant a church here. It was an offshoot of New Life and Lake City Church on Ramsey Road. And so we've been doing that for, we moved here in 1999 and then opened the doors at that site in 2000. And so actually went sovereign as a sovereign church in 2002.
So some people may not know what that means. What does that mean?
Okay, what that means is when we first opened the doors of the church, we were like a satellite campus of New Life. So we were like New Life Church, the Lake City site.
Right.
But what was always talked about was this idea that there would come a day when this church would have legs of its own and be able to separate from the mother church and become its own entity. And basically, like, if you're a parent, it's like when you've raised your kid and you send them out the door and they're on their own.
Yep, on their own, making their own way.
Yeah. So when we talk about sovereignty, it means that, you establish your own church board, your own membership roster, and now you're kind of self-governing as opposed to being overseen by a mother church, another entity. So we did that. Yeah. And in 2002, we became Lake City Community Church. Now we're Lake City Church, but it's been 23 years of just an amazing ride.
Yeah, it is. And again, man, my mind's going a lot of places right now because there's so much history. It happens to be the church my wife and I go to, so a lot of history there. So many cool things that have happened, and we'll save that for another show. But, Mike, one of the reasons that I wanted you to come on here is because of our relationship, and because I don't know if anybody knows me better than you outside my wife, honestly. And just with some of the things that I've navigated and my wife has navigated the last, over a year now, and just some of those things, and you were there. You were there. And it was a journey that wasn't expected, wasn't on our radar. It just appeared, and we had to face it like so many people. So many people. You all of a sudden you wake up and you have something you're facing that you didn't expect,
right?
And all of a sudden you have to, you have to press in. You have to lean into it and go through it. And you were there for that, a lot of that, and which I really appreciate. It meant a lot to Nancy and I, and still does. And not just you, it was Roxanne, too, your wife. You guys rallied around us, and we really appreciated that and still appreciate it. But so that's why I wanted to have you on here.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for just including me and allowing me to kind of facilitate this conversation a little bit. I know that you and your wife, every year, as you anticipate a new year, you like to select some words that will kind of be thematic, right, for the year. Now, tell us the words that you selected prior to the year that you entered into, that you discovered that you had all kinds of physical challenges ahead.
Yeah. Kind of makes me kind of smile a little bit, because we were, as most of us, those of you that are listening, we go into a new year with great expectation, and we get these words that are going to define our year, things that we're going to think about and press towards and all this kind of stuff. And so our words were health, happiness, and healing. Those were our words, because my wife had she had cancer,
right?
She was, and so, we were saying, hey, you know what? We're, health, happiness, healing. That's where we're going. And those were the words that we launched our year with.
Yeah. So you launched into the year. At what point in the year did you begin to feel like, gosh, something's not right?
Yeah, actually, something that probably there were little things that got my attention, just a little bit, like, is that going on? But what really, I think the first thing that really got my attention was going on a bike ride in February of 2022, and I was going to go off for about an hour or so, and I made it 1 mile, and I was done. I was exhausted. My chest hurt, and I just thought I was maybe out of shape, or I was getting old or something like that. But at the same time, it really got my attention. So that was February.
Yeah. So that really kind of launched you into a season of curiosity, right? Like, what is going on? This is not right.
Yeah.
And then you discovered that you had some serious heart, condition, and that they're going to have to blow out the Black & Decker.
Oh, yes. What a visual.
They're going to rip you open and pull you apart.
Yep.
And what was it, a quintuple?
Quintuple, 5.
5.
Yeah, quintuple, 5.
You've always been an overachiever. And so 5 that they had to bypass.
Yeah.
And so now you find yourself in this situation where you're anticipating, going under the knife, going through this procedure. So what do you begin to think about? What do you begin to wrestle with at that point?
Yeah, for me, it was surreal. I couldn't believe I was going through this, and yet I was. And, I started just thinking about, the procedure and, the risk involved. And I even started asking myself, well, what if I don't make it out of this? I know they do these, and I had people tell me, hey, they do these every day and stuff like that, and I believe that, but they were going to do it on me. It wasn't this just general idea.
This is not
they do
just
this every day. It was
now.
going to be on me, and so you think about what could go wrong. And honestly, you talk about the Black & Decker. That was one of the things I was thinking about, is what exactly do they cut the sternum with? And I know it's a saw of some kind, but what if they accidentally go a little bit too deep? Honestly, that was a real thought. And so I started thinking about, the possibility of not coming out of that.
Yeah. And so you begin to ask a question. I know that you asked a question that when you were able to answer that question honestly, it brought tremendous peace to your heart in anticipation of going in for the surgery. So what was the question?
Yeah, that's good. I was very, very nervous. And I just thought to myself, if I don't make it out of this, am I okay with that? And what I meant by that is, am I okay with the life I've lived to that point?
Yeah.
Things I've done, things I've said, to friends, family, opportunities I've had in life to do the things that are really important to me, not just in my personal life, but also in work and all that kind of stuff. And I really had to think that through. Have I forgiven people? Have I really done some work up until, not that there isn't more to do after, but up until that point? And honestly, Mike, I answered yes. I said, yes, I am okay. If I don't make it out, my relationship with God was intact. It was strong, is strong. And so I just felt like, you know what? If I don't make it out, I'm okay.
Terry, that is such an amazing place to be. To be able to honestly, when your life is really kind of hanging in the balance, and you don't know. I mean, they do a lot of these, right? They do a lot of them, but there is a percentage, that don't make it, and you don't know if you're going to fall into that percentage, and become that statistic or not. So to be able to engage in this honest assessment of the life that you've lived, are you okay? The relationships that you have, the opportunities. Did I make the most of the opportunities I was given? And to be able to say, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Listen, I don't want you to miss this, because there are a lot of people that they cannot say that. Maybe you're right now at a place on your journey that if you were to do a really honest assessment of how you've lived your life up until this point, if your number were called, would you be okay? Maybe you wouldn't land where Terry landed. Yeah. And here's the good news. We have an opportunity. Right now, we have an opportunity, prior to ever getting that kind of news, to be able to honestly assess our journey, our life, our relationships, the things that we've given ourselves to, the things that we have avoided. We have an opportunity right now to be able to pull up and say, okay, let's make the list.
Yeah.
And let's begin to address some of these things. It's funny. I was at a funeral of a lady that, a saintly gal, elderly gal, lived a long life. It was really a celebration of her life. But the pastor who was doing the funeral got up with her Bible and opened up her Bible. And on the inside flap of her Bible, she had written, "Live your life in such a way that people don't have to lie about you at your funeral."
Wow. Oh, man. That's good.
That's good.
My gosh. Yeah.
Live your life in such a way that people don't have to lie about you at your funeral. And gosh, I've navigated a number of funerals in my day, and I've met with some families, and we've had to dance around some pretty sensitive issues, because maybe the life had not been lived that well. Yeah. And so, man, what a great opportunity. And that's pretty amazing, Terry. And it's one of the reasons I love you so much is that you have lived your life that way.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah. And, like you said just a minute ago, to be able to be at that point, and I had so much peace moving forward, knowing that I hope I come out, but if I don't, I'm okay. I can't describe the peace that I had.
Yeah.
It's something you would have to experience yourself to know exactly what that's like. But I just had this tremendous peace. And of course, you were there the day of the surgery. You were sitting there with Nancy, and Roxanne was there. And I came out of that after about 6 hours, and it worked.
Well, for a while.
For a while, yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah, another story. I had a couple of setbacks, but in theory, in general, they came out, they felt pretty good about it. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm still here. And, but what you're saying about this, taking our lives and just doing a self-assessment now and again, and just thinking through the different areas of our lives and asking some questions is such a powerful thing that we can do for ourselves, that you can do right now, any day, anytime, anywhere. You can begin to do this.
Yeah. You came out of that surgery, and we were so, thrilled that you got out and you were in recovery. I remember going back and seeing you there, and you reached over and grabbed my hand, and it was a pretty special moment.
Yeah.
To know that you'd come through that. I'm getting a little misty as I'm reflecting on that moment and that journey. I know that once you got through it and now you're in recovery, how long did you stay in the hospital in recovery?
With that procedure.
Yeah, with that procedure.
I was in the hospital 5 additional days after the surgery.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you've spent, how many days, have you spent in the hospital over this period of time?
The period of time I was in.
Have you calculated that?
It was about 25 days total. Yeah.
So when you're in the hospital, I mean, there's a lot of bells and whistles, and there's a lot of disruption, and probably not a lot of great sleep, and a lot of opportunity to talk to yourself and to think about things. So during that period of time, I know that you began to come up with some additional questions.
Yeah. I did. I was still thinking. I was still in that pattern of, I want to make my life count. I think I just had a wake-up call that my life is short, it's brief. Under the best of circumstances, I've lived at least 2/3 of it, And so I started thinking about how can I get the most out of life and give the most to life? In other words, bring the most to the people that I care about, to our community, to helping others, and also creating, lasting memories, meaningful memories with, people that are important to me. Yeah. And I started thinking about that. What can I do? Are there questions that I could ask myself on a regular basis that could really raise my awareness, right, about where I'm at, how I'm doing, and what do I need to do to be better, to become better, right, and to live a meaningful life. And so, so I came up with 5 questions.
Yeah, so that's really the focus of our talk today, are these 5 questions that you came up with that will not only benefited you, and continue to benefit you, but will benefit all of us as we kind of write these things down and say, okay, I'm gonna put myself to this. I'm gonna ask these 5 questions myself and honestly answer them, and then take it a step beyond that and say, what would I need to do in order to give a different answer to that?
Right, yeah.
Or to make sure that my answer is a positive, life-giving kind of response.
Yeah, moving me forward, helping me live, again, that meaningful, impactful life that I want to do, that I want to live. Yeah.
So what's the first one? What's the first question that you kind of landed on?
Yeah, so the first one is it's simply this: how are you doing? And then I put on next at the end of that, really, how are you doing really? And the reason why I did that is because how are you doing is a greeting.
Right.
That we have in America. Hey, how you doing? And we just ask that. Not that we care.
Yeah, my wife has had to tell me on more than one occasion, because people will say, "How are you doing?" and I'll begin to tell them, and she said, "Mike," she's waving me off, saying, "Listen, they didn't want to know all of that.
Right? It's just a greeting.
Just a greeting."
Yeah, that's right. So we have this greeting, and then the response to the greeting is, "I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Thank you." Right.
Right.
But that's not necessarily how we're doing. Right. And you just gave an illustration where you at times have begun to share with people how you're doing, and that's not what they were asking.
Well, yeah, right? and you know when you see their eyes glaze over and start looking at their watch or making eye contact elsewhere, and you realize, this is not what they wanted. That's not what they wanted.
Yeah. So, but how are you doing really? Right? How are you doing really? Not a greeting, but really think that through. How am I doing? And there's 5 areas of my life that I thought about, right? And one of them is relationally. How am I doing with my relationships, right? The friends that I have. How am I doing spiritually? My relationship with God. How am I doing there? How am I doing financially? How am I doing professionally? These are questions that I begin to ask, about myself. How am I doing physically? Right? How am I doing physically? So I looked at those areas and really began to think that through. Now, here's the deal. Had I had this kind of awareness, I think I would have become more aware of my condition, about my heart earlier. Yeah. I would have taken it more serious earlier. By the time I reacted to what was some pretty significant symptoms, I was told, go home, don't do anything. Right. You could die between now and surgery. That's how serious it was.
Right.
But I could have done something about that a lot sooner. And maybe it wouldn't have been open heart surgery. Maybe at that time it would have been medication or something. So to be able to ask ourselves how we're doing, in our relationships, we're relational people. We need people in our lives. Right. And how am I doing with those relationships? But in all these areas, financially, professionally, how am I doing in my marriage, and just asking the question. And the thing I really encourage people to do is rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 mean couldn't be better, and 1 couldn't be worse. Rate yourself on a 1 to 5, and then write down why you rated yourself that way, right? Why did you rate yourself that way? And then go a little bit deeper and answer this question: what about that's important, right? And I think this is a way for us to really create some awareness in our lives in these areas that are really, really important. Mike, too many of us are on autopilot when it comes to all these areas of our lives, right? We're just on autopilot. And so we're shortchanging ourselves in terms of the life we could live, the relationships that we could have, the marriage we could have. Just doing the things that we really want to do.
Why do you think people live in that kind of self-induced state of just ambiguity and that fog of the not really giving yourself to that? What is it that keeps people from being intentional.
Yeah,
like that.
I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I just think they're distracted. They're distracted. We have so many distractions now with our phones, and you can watch anything at any time, anywhere. So people, we're just so distracted by different things, and we have access to news 24 hours a day from all over the world, and so we're distracted. I think we're also preoccupied. We're preoccupied with what's not going right, with how we're not feeling well, we're not doing well, we don't have enough. I wish I could have this. So we're preoccupied, and we're looking at the wrong side of the equation. As a coach, one of the things we do is we want to help people identify where are they, where do they want to go, and then how are they going to get there. And so in coaching, you start present day and you move forward. So many people are preoccupied looking in the mirror,
right.
And they have regrets, and they have disappointments, and they have discouragements, and so they don't really have the momentum, they don't have the energy to really move forward. And then I think the other thing is, we're not asking these questions ourselves, and nobody else is asking them. So there's no real work that we have to do. I think those are just some of the things that I've come across.
I think too, there's a certain amount of avoidance that happens when we know we're about to address something that is painful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when something is painful, our brain actually sends up a red flag, and our brain tends to go to a survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will avoid pain. We will avoid, anything that is going to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of relationships where here's the thing, that if you don't address what's going on right now in the relationship that you're concerned about, where that's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to end well.
Right.
But rather than lean into it and ask the hard question, rather than lean into it and say, hey, I think we need help, what we wind up doing is we avoid it.
Yeah.
Until we can't avoid it anymore. And where we could have been proactive and gotten help and got things back on track, we avoided it until we couldn't avoid it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think you're exactly right. We do avoid it. We avoid pain and we pursue pleasure, right? That's what we do. And so, how
are you doing really?
How are you doing really? Right?
Really.
How are you doing really? It's not just a greeting. It's, I want to know.
Yeah.
And those of you that are out there, if you've got a close group of friends, ask yourself these questions. Mike and I think one of the things that I value about our relationship is we've done this with each other.
Yeah.
And we've had some great conversations, and we've had hard conversations.
We have had but I think that's Roxanne and I have a small circle of what we call unfiltered friends.
Mm-hmm.
Friends that you don't have to put any kind of filter on to be able to have conversations that are real, that are not in any way. You don't have to pull back. You can say, okay, here's what's really going on, right? And we're so thankful for you and Nancy because you are that for us. And but that's what real friends do,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
In fact, sometimes a real friend will say something to the effect of, "Hey, listen, I know that what I'm about to say is going to be hard for you to hear. You need to know that it's really hard for me to say it, but I love you too much to not say it."
Yeah.
And so it's because if I didn't care, I would just go, well, it's not my deal.
Yeah. Right.
It's not my deal.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
And then you can see the train derailing, but, and then what do you want? When it does derail, do you want to pat yourself on the back and say, well, I could have told you that?
Right.
There are a lot of people that operate in that realm, whereas to be able to step into that uncomfortable space, recognize that what's about to happen is going to be tension-filled, but be okay with that.
Right.
Because good things happen when we start having real conversations.
Yep, absolutely. And I can think of times where I've talked to people, or it's even been myself, where sometimes it's too late to have that conversation, and
Right.
then we regret the fact that we didn't do it.
Right. Because you sensed it.
Because we sensed it.
Right.
I could have done something. I could have been there. But we didn't.
Right.
And we have that sense of regret. And here's the good news: we don't have to live like that.
No.
We don't have to live like that.
No.
We can be more intentional. We can live more meaningful, impactful lives.
Yeah. So forgiveness really is when we come to that place where we say, you know what? I'm not going to wait for you to come and own your stuff and ask for forgiveness. You don't owe me anything anymore.
Yeah.
And when we come to that point, we actually set ourselves free.
Yep.
We're no
100%.
longer carrying that with us. We're not dragging that through life. And here's another interesting thought. Some of the people that you're waiting to come and ask for forgiveness, they have moved so far beyond it that they don't even know that they offended you.
Right. Right.
So they're not carrying it at all. And yet you live with it in the forefront of your thinking. And every time you see the person, that's what comes to mind. But they have moved so far beyond it, they're not carrying it at all.
Right. Right.
So you're the only one being affected by
You're
it.
the only one. Like you said, you're being held hostage. They have this certain amount of control over you. And forgiveness is all about setting it free. Now, it doesn't excuse what was done.
No.
It doesn't give them a pass.
No.
Right? It doesn't do that.
Nope.
But it does do a lot for us, the person that forgives.
And I will say this too, because this is so critical for us to be able to live healthy lives. This would be an area that I would highly recommend you get help with.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you got to do this on your own. There are people that are skilled therapists, counselors that can really help you understand how you process, how the brain works, and can help bring you to a place where you can live your best life and you can not allow these things in the past to continue to dictate to you your reality today.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. So, and some of these things are so sensitive and so hard that the thought of doing it on your own is overwhelming. And I just say, don't do it on your own.
No, get some help. And I think I go back to awareness, right? So when we ask these questions, who do I need to forgive? We're creating awareness about people, about things said, things done, pain. And when we can accept that, the action may be, I got to get some help.
Yes.
I can't do this on my own.
Yes.
When you realize, it's one thing to realize, I need to forgive this person, but to be honest is enough to say, but I don't know how, and I don't know if I can. I need some help with this.
Yes.
And then just take that step and get that help, because it's so freeing what this can do.
Well, and just even when you take the step, there is this sense of life that, okay, I'm getting movement on this issue. I'm not staying stuck. I'm taking a step towards health and living my best life. And, to invite someone into your process, especially someone who is a trained therapist, somebody who can really ask you good questions and get you thinking through and help you understand how your head works, that's not a sign of weakness.
No, right.
That's a sign of wisdom.
Right.
When you realize that there is this gap between what you know and what you need to know, there's this gap, and there's somebody out there that can help you with what you need to know, it's foolish to not take that step.
Yep.
It's wisdom to take the step.
Absolutely. And the good news is you can.
Yes.
There is help. There
Oh,
are
yeah.
people,
Yeah.
whatever you're going through, there are people to meet you where you're at. And I'm grateful for that. But it starts with this self-evaluation, the self-assessment, asking some of these questions, and who do I need to forgive, and then, going through that process.
Terry, this has been so good. And so let's run through them real fast again.
Okay.
So the first one was?
How you doing, really?
Really.
Yep. And what are you grateful for and why?
Yep.
Who do you need to thank? Who do you need to forgive? And then the last one.
What's the last one?
The last one is, who do you need to tell that you love them? And this was a hard question for me to write down. It was, because I've had a very difficult time my whole life being able to say that to anybody. It's been very, very difficult. And of course, you know my story.
Jerry, I'll never forget the first time I hugged you.
I remember.
Do you?
I do.
I remember. You were like as stiff as a board. Your hands were to your side, and I'm hugging you, and there was no hug back. In fact, there was one point where you just kind of tapped me on the side, like, "Yeah, okay." You know, and it's kind of like, "Okay, break. This has gone way too long." And that was so funny.
I remember that, and just thinking, my gosh, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing it? And I just remember, you're one of those. You tell people you love them, and you told me that day, "Hey, I love you," and I was like, "Oh, jeez." Hey, right back at you. Whatever. Talk to me. And I didn't even know how to take that. And I definitely couldn't say it back. And so this is something that I feel for me, Mike. I've not been able to express this to so many people that I think I could have better relationships with some people if I could just take that step and let them know how I feel about them.
Yeah.
Because it is how I feel, right? And so, but it's hard, when you go through, a lot of trauma in your life, and your survival route is to avoid the pain and go do something fun that gets your mind off that.
Right.
What I've realized is you develop this aversion to intimacy.
Right.
You don't want that.
Well, you've been hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been hurt by the people that are the closest to you, that are supposed to protect you and care for you and create a safe environment for you, and they, your father in particular, really created a very unhealthy, unsafe, abusive environment, and so you did what any kid would do. You survived. You walled off that emotion. Don't let people get close to you. They're only going to hurt you.
You're right.
Right? They're only going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And so just wall that off.
Yeah.
Well, you survived.
Yeah, I did. And you know what's interesting, Mike, is I didn't know that's how I was wired. I didn't know emotionally that's what was going on. I was just trying to protect myself so I wouldn't get close. I wouldn't have intimate relationships. I wouldn't say I love you. And I came to a place in my life where I realized I need to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it. And it was hard. And you're one of those people that have helped me, because you say that so it just comes out of your mouth, because I know that's how you feel. And it was I can remember thinking, okay, I'm going to tell him. All right, I'm going to tell him. I got to work it up. How am I going to do it? How do I do that? In my mind, I've got this. And so. But my son Levi has helped me too, because he always tells us he loves us, but I've noticed he always tells his friends too that he loves them. And I thought, I've looked at that and went, wow, I admire that.
Well, and you know what's amazing, Terry, is that you have loved very well. You have created a home. You and Nancy have created a very loving home, and your kids feel safe there. It's not surprising to me that Levi is such a loving and expressive, in his love for people, because you created, even though you have struggled with your own ability to be able to articulate that, you have modeled a life of love, and you've loved in very tangible ways. Anyone who knows you know that if they were ever in need, you'd be there for them.
Yeah.
And that's really expressing love in very tangible, kind of where the rubber meets the road kinds of ways, those expressions of love. So although it's been difficult for you to maybe express it, physically with a hug or verbally with a comment, you've lived a life of love.
Yeah.
And so it's not surprising that your kids have picked up on that.
Yeah, the University of Arizona State actually did a study around this whole thing of expressing love, and there's some benefits similar to, forgiveness and thanking people and gratitude and all that kind of stuff, lowering stress, having better relationships, different things like that. But the study found that you only experience these benefits when you express it, not just when you think it, right? And so I've been working on this, and I tell people I love them. It doesn't roll out of my mouth like it does yours, but it's a lot easier than it used to be. And but I'm grateful. For me to be able to say that is a gift. It's a gift. And I don't want that to sound weird, but I feel like it's a gift for me to be able to say that to people now, because it was so hard. And again, a lot of stuff associated with that in my background that I've learned about and different things like that. But I'm so grateful, and that, I have people like you and my family, and then other friends that we know, and that I remember when I was in the hospital, when you were seeing me, and I remember I told you that I loved you.
Yeah, you did.
And I wanted to do that. I wanted you to know that.
Yeah.
It was so important for me. And I'm getting a little misty-eyed now, but those of you that are listening, or watching, this is so important. These questions, doing this self-assessment, can really bring so much health and meaning to our lives to help us live more intentionally with the people that matter,
right,
and that we care about, and the work that we do, And so, I just encourage you, to think about these, write them down, and even you may even want to go away once or twice a year with these questions and really do a deep dive, and walk away with some things that you can do to, again, not only for yourself and your health, but your relationships, whether it's personal or professional, and really come out of there with some things you can do to make it better. 5
questions that will definitely challenge you and help you live your best life, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Was this fun?
This was fun, Terry. Thank you so much for the invite. And I want to say in front of all these people, I love you.
Oh, thank you, Pastor.
I'm so grateful.
Well, I love you too.
For our friendship.
Yeah, I am too. I'm very grateful for it, and it means a lot. And we've been through a lot, good and hard. And we're going to continue to go through a lot, good and hard.
Hard.
So it's great to have our kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Thank you. Listen, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this. Listen, would you do us a favor in the comments below? Tell us maybe some ahas, things you're taking away. Maybe you have a question or a comment. Maybe there's something you'd like us to know, or maybe there's somebody that that we need to know that we can interview that could bring some hope to the people all around this country that are watching this and tuning in. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. And just before we go, I want to say thank you to Cornerstone Coaching, Drew Hawkins, for sponsoring this. Drew has a 30-minute or 60-minute, free consultation. If you're in real estate and you need a coach, give him a call. And I want to thank Ladder Real Estate for your sponsorship. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home here in North Idaho, reach out to Ladder Real Estate. They're a great team, and they can help you. So just want to say thank you to those guys for making this show possible. So that's it, Mike.
That's it. We did it.
We did it. Again, we'd like to thank Cornerstone Coaching for their support of Unyielding Hope. So if you're a learning-based business owner or a real estate professional and you're ready to exceed your goals, Cornerstone Coaching is here to help. The changing real estate market challenges can sometimes leave you hopeless or even stuck. And that's where Cornerstone comes in. Their coaching simplifies the real estate process, even in the face of difficulties, to get you unstuck and back on a clear path to reach your goals. So if you're ready to embark on your journey to success, Cornerstone Coaching is offering a complimentary 1-hour coaching session for the listeners of Unyielding Hope to uncover the missing pieces in your business. Contact him today for your complimentary coaching session and let them know that you heard about it here on Unyielding Hope. Take that crucial step towards your brighter future. Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'd love to hear from you, so talk to me. Share your questions, your stories, your circumstances, and most importantly, share your experiences of unyielding hope. And please share this with your friends, your family, or anyone else that you think could benefit or be encouraged. I'm Terry Gurno, and this has been Unyielding Hope. Thank you for tuning in.